welcome back to Get Ripped or Die Trying. Noah Savage,
Will Winner,
and we have a huge get
the
today.
biggest guest we've ever had.
Yeah, and a guy that I actually met in IRL, as the kids say, in real life at a wedding, and I was like, this guy rules, and I started following him on Instagram, and he's just skyrocketed in the fitness, wellness industry, functional bodybuilding. Wait, no, functional dash bodybuilding. I fucked that part up. But I do that later at the end of the episode. So today we're joined by Marcus Philly, who is just fantastic. Yeah, he's awesome. So let's get him on the horn, and then we're gonna do our clips and our check-in at the end. Man, we got a big get here, Will. I'll tell the story of how I even became aware of our guest, Marcus Philly. I was at a wedding, and I'm sitting next to this guy, and I'm going, this guy's ripped. I love this guy's body. And I start talking to him, and he goes, yeah, man, I'm actually a CrossFit guy and used to be a soccer player. And since then, I've been following you, Marcus, on Instagram and kind of watched your, great content. And like, you've been a guy just kind of like, I've stayed in touch with like one way. So,
yeah, wow, that's cool.
You've after leaving medical school, you basically were a competitive CrossFit athlete, and after some burnout, you kind of created or got into functional bodybuilding. That's the short version of your bio. But
That's
welcome. I'll let you kind of. That's my first question. Like, what is functional bodybuilding? Who are you? What are you up to?
Well, thanks for that intro. And I remember that wedding very well. That's actually my wife's one of her closest cousins. We were at that wedding, and that was a blast, by the way. What a crazy event that was.
Rainbow Room.
Rainbow Room. Yeah. I mean,
iconic in New York.
When I think about having my wedding, I'm like, yeah, we'll just rent out the Rainbow Room with no problem. But yeah, so fast forward to now, you caught me at the tail end of my CrossFit career. I think that was the year I went on to place 12th in the CrossFit Games. I was like at the peak of my career, but we had kids, got married in the next year after that, and I kind of knew that was sort of my last hurrah. Was going to shift, focus to family a bit more, and then building my business. Plus, I was kind of at the tail end of 8 years of doing competitive CrossFit, which anybody who's been in the game that long and who's pushed that hard at that level, it's pretty demanding and it beats you up. It's not the longevity approach to fitness. It's more of the let's do whatever we can to win points. So I was ready for a shift, and the shift in my training started to look a little different. I mean, 8 years of CrossFit, I wasn't going to suddenly stop doing functional fitness. I loved it. I believed in it. But I also knew that like competitive CrossFit wasn't for me, at least in the training approach. So I started to incorporate a bit more bodybuilding methods that I'd used, to become a fit individual before I ever knew what CrossFit was. And so it was like this hybrid of like doing functional training, CrossFit with some bodybuilding. It was just making me feel really good. And, the power of social media, I post a few things. People start to really resonate with it. They're like, hey, what you're doing is cool. I want to do that too. And enough so that I was like, man, there's something to this. Like people are really taking notice on this, place called Instagram. And so I'll give them something more and more and more. And that turned into what I kind of launched as like the first functional bodybuilding programs at the time, which then grew into my business. And so we teach a functional bodybuilding method, which now I'm 6-7 years into that, and I've got a lot more experience and ability to kind of expand upon like, well, what is the method? What is the concept? But in its, purest form, I mean, take bodybuilding principles that are really built out of the sport of let's try and build muscle and look the best, and then take CrossFit principles or the principles of we're trying to achieve performance through strength, aerobic capacity, movement efficiency, and let's see where the middle ground between those two are. And that's what we do.
So I was listening to your podcast, and one of them recently, just a real quick story, is that you had a podcast about somebody trying to get back into training, and right at the end, you slipped in. If you train too hard, you're going to get rhabdo. And I hired a personal trainer about 5 years ago to try to like jump back in, and the second
Yeah,
session got rhabdo and was
no kidding.
so.
Yeah,
I think
not
that
good.
the negative perception of CrossFit is maybe that it goes too hard, and that
Mhm.
rhabdo, kind of deep in the history, and there's kind of always been a you know bodybuilding versus CrossFit aspect maybe, and you kind of have
Yes.
to, right? So
Well, there's certainly a lot of that in the early days of CrossFit. I mean, you see something, and this is true in a lot of different industries, but something new that kind of like hops on the scene and kind of shakes up sort of like long held beliefs about whatever industry it is. And then on top of that, gets massive, massive popularity. People get pissed. It's like,
yeah.
wait a minute, you're doing it different than we've done it, and more people like you than they like me. Like, I don't really like, I'm upset by that. And this created a many debates, between strength and conditioning coaches, bodybuilders, CrossFitters, and it was kind of like pick your camp. You go into your corner. You talk shit about the other one. You don't cross over. And then I didn't really love that because I kind of had success in all these different places. I saw the value in all of them. And to me, it's like why limit ourselves? Why go? I won't accept what you're doing. Hey, there's merit in all of these things. There's a reason CrossFit was popular. You know, um, and we can learn a lot from it, but we can also learn from the mistakes that we made in each of these different training disciplines. And why doesn't everybody in the world love bodybuilding? Well, same reason why not everybody in the world loves CrossFit. It's like there's good things and bad things, and how can we just get more people moving, for crying out loud?
What's been like the biggest change in your philosophy of fitness over time? Is there anything, because you're pretty open-minded, but is there anything that you like had written off that in recent years you're like, you know what, I should probably take a better look at that?
I mean, I could name a bunch of things, like global concepts. Perhaps I had written off for years, like I had kind of gotten burned out on bodybuilding, or at least the aesthetic approach to fitness, and or to looking a particular way, through fitness and nutrition.
And
So
you're
I was like,
is one of the most ripped dudes on the internet. When Noah told me that he said
yeah,
at a wedding, I was just like, I know that guy. He's in my Instagram. And, oh, I know his abs. I can describe
yeah.
it's like from memory.
Well, I got abs for the first time, like for real, in my like junior year of college. Before that, I was a fit guy, but I wasn't like paying close attention to my diet. And
Mm.
so I dieted super hard, like traditional cut mentality, junior year of college, senior year of college. Didn't really know I didn't realize that you like cut and then you like go back to maintenance and then maybe
Yeah.
you lean bulk. And like, I just was like, I'm going to cut and I'm going to stay in a deficit forever. And I love having abs. And I really just crushed myself, in a lot of ways. Anybody who's dieted too long, too hard knows that it's uncomfortable, it's painful, and then it has a lot of fallout at the end. So I sort of developed a very, very shitty relationship with food and with dieting culture. And so basically from like when I rebounded out of that, like a couple years after college, and I found CrossFit and the paleo food movement, nutrition movement really hit me. I just grabbed a hold of that thing hard and I was like, oh, look at this. Like, we're just talking about food quality. We're talking about clean eating. No one's talking about a calorie. No one's counting a thing. Like, that's for me. Because I had gotten so burned by this other thing that was so like damaging to my psyche and to my body. Like, because I overdid it, not because it's wrong, but because I didn't have an information base to really do it correctly. So here I was like, I was all in on the clean eating, paleo quality food. That's life. And I just was like, anybody that's counting calories or anybody that's doing this thing over here on the quantity side of food is, headed down a path of eating disorders. Like so that's kind of me. Like, I'm like, my experience with nutrition for a bunch of years was kind of similar to like somebody who sees CrossFit and they're like, that's all, everything about CrossFit is bad because I do it this way. And so I needed to kind of come to my senses after years to be like, you know what? The quantity and the quality side of nutrition, these are two separate conversations that have intersections and overlap, and we need to be open-minded to both. And now I talk, quite openly about in my philosophy towards like nutrition, like you can't do one without the other. Somebody who's like, I eat clean, and I'm like, what the hell does that mean? It's like somebody's like, I count macros. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like, let's just be more precise about the conversation and educate people better so that they don't fall victim to the shit I went through, which was which was yeah, it was not a fun time in my early 20s when I was, chasing the lean physique.
Mm.
So we've both talked about how we have both had our sloppy periods and also like our pretty in shape periods. And
Yeah.
I'm one who I could eat through any diet. Like I did keto for a while. It worked really well because it kind of killed my appetite. And then eventually it was like keto plus a little snack and keto and a little carbs. And then all of a sudden it was just like, wait, I'm eating 2 ribeyes, to start my day, 1,000 calories a day. So I kind of understand what you're talking about, where it's like, I think the idea is to feel good. And that's what I like about your approach so much is like the working out isn't just to look at, it's to feel good and to move well. And then the food, like, look, it's great if you only ate 2,500 calories, but if all you ate was like, Swedish fish, you're gonna feel like shit. But
True.
I think for a guy like me who loves crushing food, what would be like 2 things you would tell somebody who goes, look, I'm naturally big, I'm always hungry. What are like 2 things you could do right now that would make you feel fuller?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
tough.
I'm doing one. I'm drinking.
It's not in my mind, it's not really a secret. It's like there are foods that are the things that you love, the foods you love to crush, they tend to be hyper palatable, meaning like they taste delicious. They happen to be packed full of calories for not that much food volume. And that's what just generally makes them problematic foods, right? A problematic food, and not a bad food, but it's problematic in that it tastes so good that it lights up your brain centers and wanting to like eat more. It's just a feedback loop that we've evolved to have, which is important for our survival a million years ago, not today. And then secondly, it's like, a food that has 500 calories in about 100 grams worth of food, which is a small amount, a small portion, that never really existed in nature. So like we're not really equipped to deal with something that's that calorically dense. So those are the foods that you want to crush. Well, guess what? You just got to find like a list of, 10 to 15 foods that you like enough that are in your mind like, hey, I enjoy that. It's not, I'm not going to ever choose that over pizza.
Frozen berries.
To me next. What's that?
Frozen berry.
Frozen berry. So that's an example of a nutrient dense food. So this has lots of nutrients for not a lot of calories. You can eat 3 bowls of frozen blueberries, like enough to fill you up and be like, dude, I don't want any more blueberries, right? And that has the same calorie density as like 2 spoonfuls of peanut butter. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so, and people are like, oh, well, fat's really good. It's satiating. It's like, I don't really like, there's a lot of things that create satiety. And the biggest one is like mechanical stretch of your stomach. Like you need volume to your food, and foods that are what I just said, like that's one example, frozen blueberries, but it's like, find 10 others that really work for you. Like non-fat Greek yogurt. I love that. It's like I can eat a giant bowl of that. It's not that calorie dense. It's thick. It fills my stomach up. I get a stretch response, tons of protein for not a lot of calories. Bam. That with 2 cups of frozen blueberries, and then, pick 3 other foods like that, have them in the morning. Dude, you just set your day up for like a much, much more success, where you got really full off a protein rich meal that only had 500 calories. And you're like, you're good for like hours. And then do that a second time at lunch and do the same thing every day for breakfast and lunch. And guess what? Like you're way ahead of the game. Like you're not going to have the cravings that you typically have at night when you try and eat skimpy and fast all day. Like it's just, it comes down to creating your little menu that works for you that you're going to prioritize earlier in the day so that the end of the day is not just this like feeding frenzy of like, oh, I'm just going to have a couple, potatoes and potato chips. Like, oh, I'll eat the whole bag. Oh, I'm still hungry. The salt really has got me going. I'm gonna have, move on to the next thing, and next thing you just ate 4,000 calories, and you're like still craving something. It's nuts.
Yeah. I'm curious. I really like your content where you talk about like the alienating aspect of being too strict on your diet, how you can creep people out and annoy them
Totally.
socially. I've certainly been in that place because I'm a psycho when I'm on cuts, and like, food is how we bond with people. Food is everything for social, especially when you're not drinking or doing anything like that. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta eat. Noah professionally is like the guy who brings catered lunches, and in his work environment, like doctors want to eat through Noah. He works with these skinny doctors.
That's true.
He's bringing in catered lunches, and it's just like, the fun guy's here. Let's eat. How would you coach somebody who is big and, when you're 6'7" and you're built like a brick shithouse, people just want to watch you eat shit. I think that's the biggest thing that we struggle when I'm coaching him, because that's like, dude, peer pressure is insane. Peer pressure is like the strongest force known to man.
No doubt.
You can text me and we can like just get some distance from it for a sec, hit the protein, hit this, hit that. But I do know what it's like when you're under the grip of peer pressure, that it's really hard to come out from. Do you have any tips for that?
I mean,
don't be a bitch.
no. Well, I mean, it's look, if any of these peers, the way I see it is like, and I've been in lots of environments over the years that are not conducive to how I want to be eating, right? Like, and I don't want to alienate my friends. I don't want to not be a social person. I don't want to not go to family get-togethers because they're not going to have the food that I want to eat. Peer pressure, or not even peer pressure, but it's like people are enjoying themselves in this way, and they're like, hey, why aren't you enjoying yourself with us? Like, because it's their idea of what, fulfillment and enjoyment is. They haven't evolved their thinking around like, well, how does food going to make me feel? So I think it's a mindset shift where you have to recognize like this person, they're in their own journey of figuring out like what feels good and what doesn't feel good to them. You not eating or not drinking the thing that they're eating or drinking is ultimately not going to affect their time. They're going to have a good time. They're going to have the time that they want to have with or without you. So you're actually you're not responsible for their night and their day or their barbecue or whatever. And what people really want when they're peer pressuring you, they're seeking to make sure you have a good time. They're like, well, why aren't you doing this? And you're like, oh, I don't know. Then they sniff that shit out, and they're like, oh, you got to eat this thing because it's gonna make you like, you're gonna have a better time. And drink this, you're gonna take this shot. They believe that they're enhancing your experience. They're not trying to sabotage you. But if you walk into a scenario in a situation because you've reflected on it enough, you've actually done the perspective work to know, like, dude, when I eat like that and when I drink like that, I actually feel like shit, and I'm not. I might feel fun in the moment, but I'm a shitty person the next day or the next 3 days. I'm not that fun. And I go into like, either self-sabotage mode, or I shame myself, or I'm just like, I get into negative self-talk, and back up. They want what's best for me, and they think they're doing it by pressuring me to drink and have the, nachos or whatever. But really, if I go in and I do this, I know I'm going to feel great. And so if I show up with the confidence to those situations and those social circumstances, and I own that, and they're like, hey, no, I have this. You're like, no, I'm good. I'm having this. They're like, well, wait, why? Why not? I'm like, because I just makes you feel good, man. But you do you. Like, I'll have all the shots you want. Like, you don't make them feel bad for their choices. Then it's like, they're like, oh, and then soon enough, here's what happens. They're like, oh, shoot, tell me about what you're doing, man. I see you. Man, you're actually, fuck, you look like you're happy and like you're fucking killing it. Like,
Yeah.
what's your plan? And then they start to like, then next thing you know, you're like a therapist because they're going to unload all their shit. Like, yeah, man, I feel like shit when I do this. I've been struggling with this. I've been struggling with that. And you're like, yeah, man, I've been there. And then you can either choose to try and support them in their journey or just listen. But the best thing that you're doing for them or you're doing for yourself is just be like, I just got to own what matters to me and what's most important to me. I've done this enough. I've been through this cycle enough where I get peer pressured into doing what they're doing. I lose track of what's my priority, what makes me feel best. And at the end of it, I just feel like shit. And I'm back to feeling bad that I got off track. It's like,
Yeah.
how many times have you done that in your life? Oh, I've done it 100 times. Like, well, any time is a good time to change that cycle.
Yeah. So I think there's probably a thread between stand-up comics and CrossFit athletes or anybody who's in aesthetics where to the outside person, people might go, you're killing it. But there's a very like hard on yourself aspects. And what I noticed is when I started drinking less, I felt like Superman last week. And the task that I'm going to describe, like it might not even seem like a big deal. Like I went through a 25-minute comedy set and I'm chopping it up for clips for Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I used to get so frustrated and quit and say, this material sucks, and it might suck. But sober, rested, like wellness me was so like, oh shit, this is easy as hell. I should have been doing this for like 10 weeks. So I guess the question in there is like your mindset when you were in the worst part of your CrossFit era compared to now, like what was that? And how do you get out of the like being really hard on yourself, but in a way you still have to have discipline? Like it's kind of both, right? Like I want to be a high achiever. I want to be a good comic. I want to be a great dad. But like, I don't want to always just be like unsatisfied, right? There's kind of a double-edged sword there.
Shoot, yeah. Yeah, well, no, you bring up a great point. I think,
Like, are you easier on yourself now? Or is it just that you've automated your processes so you don't even think about like, you know what you're going to eat, you know what you're going to move your body. Cause that's what I find. Like once I like automate, like, here's my breakfast, here's my lunch, here's my lift, then everything else kind of falls into place really easily, I think,
Yeah, I mean,
or you can't even remember not being disciplined.
no. I certainly do. I certainly do. And I think what I want to say is that you're going to go through so many periods in your life where you feel dialed, automated, like you've got your plan, it's working for you, and then guess what? It's not working anymore. And I've done that enough in my life where it's like I'm disciplined, this is working, oh shoot, it's not working, to accept and realize that there is no one path and one process of discipline that's going to last you forever. There might be some like common threads, like I got to get enough sleep, and so that's a non-negotiable. And yeah, maybe after a decade or 2 decades, you kind of learn that and you keep that as part of your daily process without. So it's a non-negotiable. However, the meal plan that's working for you now, the keto thing that was working for you for a period of time, like it had a lifespan and then it stopped working because of some reason, and that's okay. And when you fall off there, you don't need to like beat yourself up about it. Just it's time to sort of reflect on like, well, what about that worked for me? And if it's not working anymore, let's stop trying to like, pound this, round peg into a square hole, or however the saying goes. Let's sort of take a step back, recalibrate and be like, okay, what's my next plan going forward to sort of continue on a new path of discipline that keeps me feeling the way I want to feel. So I am quite disciplined around certain areas of my life now. Do those plans get disrupted from time to time? Yes. Do I beat myself up about it? In some aspects of my life, yes. Around health and fitness, I have the perspective to say like, hey, this is a long game. I'm not going to get it perfect every day, 100% of the time. there's going to be days in my 30s that didn't go so well, weeks, months. There's going to be weeks and months in my 40s where what I did in my 30s isn't working, and I've got to reevaluate. Okay, how do I need to change my process? So it's just like the the luxury or the benefit of having been in this for so long is that I've seen enough things work, enough different ways to know that like we go through different phases, and it's just like when you're in a good phase, really milk it for everything, and then when you get out of that and something falls apart, you know, have enough self-awareness to like catch it before it's been 6 months and you're like, how the hell did I put on 30 pounds? Like, you know, whereas like my window of like something's not working, it's been 2 weeks, I'm not feeling like my, you know, my best self, I'm immediately connected to like I have to problem solve that sooner than later so that I don't go into these like long stretches where, you know, when people come to me, they're like, hey, you know, the last 3 years just flew by and now I'm 30 pounds overweight and, you know, I haven't been in the gym. And it's like, man, how did 3 years go by before you got to this place of like, I got to make a change? Like you, over time, you want that time period of like losing discipline or losing focus to get shorter and shorter and shorter where, you know, there's never really more than 2 or 4 weeks where you're like, I'm out of a good rhythm and I need to recalibrate and reset and start my next process. You know, we're not going to be perfect forever, but you want to minimize the 6, 12, 24-month layoffs because you just have not been paying attention to what the hell's going on.
I really like that. That's what I tell the people that I work with, where once we find the things that work for them and they see results and they just get this general awareness, they'll be having like these fears like, oh, I'm going to fall off. And I'll be like, you can't fall off because you've already started to see how this works. And as long as you keep trying, like there's no fucking way that you're going to just gain 50 pounds out of nowhere. You know what's going on now. And now that you're on with that information, you're on the path. Like once you're on the path and you see how good it is, there's no going back, which is where you're at. Like there's no going back to just eating double ribeyes a night. We've established that. Like it's a wrap on that.
Yeah, but I eat double sirloins now. I want to ask
I want to wait.
about,
Can
yeah,
I ask
about age. Yeah, ask about age. I want to remind you to ask the age question or whatever.
Well, it's this question first. So we're dads here. I have a 8-month son. Noah has a son, has a daughter on the way. You have kids. I know that you'll probably give like a very understanding answer, but if we wanted to raise our children to be super athletes, what like if you had to design something to make them like really hit the ground running so that they're like 5-star recruits by the time that they get freshmen in high school, what types of activities would you want them to engage in?
Okay, this is like maybe a two-part answer. I would want first, I just want them, I would expose them to a ton of stuff early, like a ton of different movement practices, a ton of different, you know, individual and collaborative or team, you know, physical endeavors. Because I want them to just find something that they really get excited about that is movement related. Because once that's like there's a passion there to move, then okay, great. They're or whatever the sport might be. It's like if there's movement intertwined with that, then they're just on a path to be moving people that want to express themselves physically. The next step would be try and create some. So let's take my daughter, for example, who's like kind of really getting into dance right now. She's kind of like feeling dance. She loves her dance class once a week. She's got a performance coming up this weekend. She's got, you know, a team. They've got outfits. They're going to do a little hip hop thing. She's 6. It's super cute. The 4-year-old's doing it too. So they're liking dance, and like I'm not going to touch that for a while. But at some point, if dance gets like they're like really into it, I'm going to be like, hey, like you want to get better at dance? They're like, yeah. It's like, okay, let me just start to like introduce how we can improve dance through other physical fitness and, you know, nourishment methods. It's like, hey, when you eat like this kind of breakfast or lunch, you have more energy at dance. And so we like start to stack on something where there's an awareness around like, if I do this, I get to do better at the thing I love. Or, hey, like I see you're starting to do little aerials in your dance performances. Like you want to get stronger. Like you see how mommy and daddy, we do these squats or we do these exercises, like it's really good for making you stronger at this. And then they're like, cool, let me create that connection. I mean, these connections happened for me when I was in college.
Yeah.
Had somebody really embedded that in me at like 8 years old, 10 years old, like, hey, if you do squats, you're going to be the best soccer player. I would have fucking done squats every day. Like, I wanted to be the best, you know? And if I had known that, like, oh, if you go, like, if I'm in high school and I'm walking across the street to the store at lunchtime because we have off campus lunch to go buy whatever the hell we want, you know, for lunch, and I don't know what I'm doing. So I go buy a loaf of bread and a donut and like some fried chicken fingers. No joke. That was like my lunch. I was going to eat a sourdough loaf, a donut, and some chicken fingers, and that was going to get me through soccer practice a day. If someone had been like, "Hey, if you eat like a little bit of protein and you have like these, and you have some fruit, and you have this, and like whatever, you're going to crush it at soccer practice." And I had that experience of feeling like that, dude. Forget it. I would have been on the healthy path early because there was it connected me to something that was relatable to movement. Now, the other way I'd answer this is, you know, if I was truly going to create like a cyborg, I would be like, okay, give me somebody who's great at gymnastics, somebody who can lift weights, weightlift really well, and somebody who can like do a wrestling, you know, martial art like jiu-jitsu or just plain old wrestling, like get really good at those three things. That person's going to just be a, a strength conditioning fitness, you know, monster. And then I would just like have them eat as much, you know, unprocessed foods that suit them to their appetite as they possibly can. And, you know, with protein being in every meal. And by the time they were like 16, they would be the person in high school that was like, you know, lettering in every sport that they wanted to and just crushing it. And like they would feel great and confident in their body. They'd be strong as hell. And that person would be, yeah, way ahead of the game.
And Marcus, going back to my college years, what blows my mind is how little emphasis was put on sleep or recovery. And like 2004 to 8, we never talked about sleep. We never talked about any of that. It was like, go as hard as you can, and then you're released into the campus. And like,
right.
No, now it's like I put sleep first because without sleep, I don't have the energy to work out. I eat poorly. So when you have somebody you're working with, or you know, somebody in general who's like, I can't sleep, I sleep like shit. What do you think, like broadly, is the main cause of that?
It's lack of movement and lack of like they're not aligning themselves with like their circadian clocks with the sunlight. That's it. I mean,
Yeah, like they're not doing anything all day, and then they're going.
They don't. Yeah, they don't ever get out. They don't ever get outside of like these like climate controlled artificial light, you know, rooms, offices, homes, whatever. They never go outside and they don't move. And it's like, yeah, your body has no idea what time it is, so you don't know when to go to sleep. And then when it's time that you should be sleeping, you're just pumping your brain and all of your neuroreceptors with all kinds of stimulus from various technology. And so, yeah, you can't sleep, but like, it's not that complicated, but you to re-engineer like a good circadian clock, like being able to wake up, energize, and go to bed and when you're supposed to and sleep soundly, it's you know, it takes discipline. That's why if you tackle this early, like I never had a hard time going to sleep when I was a kid. Why? Because I was doing tons of sports. I would be like, it's 9 o'clock, I'm asleep already. And then I would wake up even in high school, or like, you know, out of bed at 6 or 7, you know, early in the morning, like I had gotten my 10 hours and I was ready to go. Right. Whereas my brother was not an athlete. He didn't do a lot of movement. He sat around with his friends a lot. Like they hung out. You know, late night, we didn't have iPads and all kinds of shit, but he was like always on the phone and talking to people. And like his circadian clock was totally backwards because he wasn't moving and he wasn't outside. And like, you know, if you hit a hard soccer practice at 6 p.m. in August or September when the season got started and the sun sets towards the end of practice, like, and you just expelled all this energy, you go home, have a big dinner, guess what? You're ready for bed. Like that just happens to the human body when you are pushing yourself physically and you're getting exposure to like natural sunlight rhythms. So how can we engineer that in humans? Like, sorry, not humans, but like adults, humans, adults. It's like somehow get them to do that in some form. And you know, there's a lot of like sleep scientists that are like coming up with, you know, that are, you know, spouting about all the biohacking to get you to sleep better. It's like, yeah, wake up, get a little sunlight, move your body, you know, train hard, you know, watch the sunset, and don't like open up Netflix at 9 p.m. Like your body will start to learn how to fall asleep and sleep well.
We got to wrap soonish. Sorry, Will, but real quick, I want to ask about cold showers because that's one of our things we're fed on Instagram is cold bath, cold showers. We started doing it. I got a cold right away.
But I got to tell you,
I feel great when I do it.
I did it in my Whoop recoveries immediately. I saw immediate results from a 2-minute cold shower first thing in the morning. My resting heart rate went from 50 down to 44. My HRV went up. My sleep went up, and all of my recoveries have been in the green since I started about 2 weeks ago.
Damn,
how's your take on cold shower?
When it comes to like any of these practices, there's like the subjective experience, like, and there's objective results that you're getting through your Whoop. But remember, like a one person, you know, sample size, and that doesn't mean like cold showers are right for everybody, right?
No,
so but you have to, if you have an experience with something and it's positive, I don't overlook that. You know, I'm like, yeah, let's keep doing that. But I also like to pay attention to, you know, research and peer-reviewed, evidence-based, you know, health and fitness information that's coming out. And there's more and more of that that's showing up in the literature around cold exposure. Is it good for energy? Is it good for immune system? Is it good for, you know, what is it actually? Is it good for losing body fat? Like these studies are starting to really ramp up and be published more. And so over the next 5 to 10 years, because there's been so much talk about cold exposure in the last 3 or 4 years, since like Wim Hof went on Rogan. I don't know how many years ago that was, but like it's just kind of, it's sort of escalating quickly. We're just going to get more and more data very soon. And what I know for myself is that with cold exposure, I perceive a psychological benefit and uptick. Like I just feel ready for the day. I feel alert. It helps me go from maybe like, you know, starting my day at like a 7 out of 10 energy, and then I'm quickly into like the 8, 9 zone, or 10, you know, and before coffee. So for that reason, I like it. I do appreciate doing something uncomfortable to get my day started. It's like, I don't want to do this, but I'm doing it anyway. Like there's a huge psychological boost to that. I think that there's probably some decent merit to it for like the immune system. But I think we need more evidence on that. And yeah, I'll just kind of wait. Like, I'm not going to tell people like, if you don't do cold exposure, that's not good for you. What I do believe though, is if from like a evolutionary biology perspective, like yes, like we have the ability to make fire and we build, you know, shelter, you know, this goes back many, many hundreds of thousands, millions of years. However, like we were always exposed to elements much, much more than we have in the last, you know, couple thousand years of like modern society. So it's not probably good for us to just always be at 70 degrees like all day, every day, or 85, you know, whatever the temperature thermostat is in your office or your home. Like being at the same temperature is not good. It's like, go get hot, go get cold.
It's also like
It's really cold.
outside.
When it's really cold. Yeah, it's like when it's really cold, like just be like, oh, I'm equipped to handle cold. I don't want to be cold all the time. Like if I'm in Massachusetts visiting my parent, my wife's parents in the winter, I'm fucking bringing a coat. But if I go outside and I'm really cold, it's like, okay, like I can handle this, and this is, getting a little exposure to this is probably built into my DNA to like have these experiences. It's okay. So to like intentionally go get cold or intentionally go get hot, like in a sauna, I dig that, and I think the evidence on sauna is much stronger for like health and longevity, cardiovascular health, etc. The cold stuff is we're getting more of it coming out all the time. And then when you read stuff, like someone's like, hey, turns out that like ice baths are not good, it's like, read the fine text. It's like, yeah, ice baths after training are not good for hypertrophy. So if your goal is to build muscle, don't jump in an ice bath after you do your bodybuilding session. That doesn't mean that cold exposure is not good for you in some other context. So just make sure you're like understanding what's the context, why are you doing it. If someone told me tomorrow cold exposure doesn't do anything for your immune system, we've done all the clinical randomized controlled studies, it's not good for your immune system, it doesn't make a bit of difference, it's also not good for burning fat, and so do it at your own risk, I'd be like, I still think it gives me the boost. Like I still want to do it, it gives me that energy that I want to have, and maybe I'll continue to do it.
Nice. Well, I think we're out of time. Marcus, you're the man. Off wax. I want to tell you something, but first I want to make sure we're plugging all your stuff. Functional-bodybuilding.com. A ton of resources, coaching, learning, ebooks. Got the merch there. Check them out. And then your Instagram will be right here on this page, it is Marcus Philly, right? It's not, is there something else?
At Marcus Philly. That's it.
At Marcus Philly. He's got consistent, great content.
The best.
Give him a follow. When you're in New York, hit us up, man. We can have a come down live. We appreciate you. And anything
that would be awesome.
No,
I appreciate you guys for having me, and this has been a great talk, and love what you're trying to do. I can't wait to hear what happens after the full 12-week experiment.
All right. Thanks, Marcus.
All right. Wow. Marcus Philly is the man. I wish we could talk to him for like 2 or 3 hours.
So wise.
His body is sick. His body's sick.
My biggest regret is we didn't ask him to pop the top.
Oh, yeah, true.
But it was weird because he couldn't see us, so then we'd just be looking at his body.
You're like, excuse me, I haven't seen you in 8 years. Can you take your shirt off? But
my favorite thing that we've done in this podcast is when in shape guys we're talking to, we immediately make it like sexual, and watching them get uncomfortable, it just makes me, I don't know, it makes me happy every time.
I don't know if it is sexual. I
think it's about appreciating the physique, but
yeah,
to them they're like,
no, but we're more like Greek dudes back in the day where they were like all the athletes were just naked and you were like appreciating the body. And then like it's like not sexual, but it's like we like staring at you, like for sure.
Yeah. It's like I don't want to have sex with you, but I do want to look at your body.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to see what you're working with.
He's awesome. And his website rules. His website's inspiration for our pathetic ass comedy careers. We got to step our shit up.
To the listeners, he has the best reviewed fitness app of anybody out there. Like I combed the internet and everybody says that his program Persist Pump is like the greatest. You get like the bodybuilding aesthetic look, but you also feel conditioned like an athlete. So buy Marcus Philly's shit.
All right. Well,
what are you at?
Oh, I'm 279.
279. So you're up 1.5 pounds from last episode.
But I've been,
what's going on?
I got on that meat and fruit diet, dog.
You did.
What do you think about that? Maybe not the best for me. Maybe too much fruit.
Well, I think that you're stoked. You're looking for like ways to keep eating.
Well, what? I think it's the opposite. I think I ate 1 pound of meat in the morning.
You told me something that made me nervous. because you said I'm being a little bit loose on the calories, but I don't feel like I can gain that much.
Oh, I don't even remember saying that. I
you said
blacked out while eating frozen cherries. So what happened was I ate a pound of meat and I ate like 2 cups of frozen cherries because I saw this dick we're about to have on again.
180 calories and two cups of frozen cherries. I know because I bought
180. Right, so I get 2,500 a day.
Yeah.
So for breakfast I ate a 600 calories of meat and like 180 of cherries. Right, so I'm like 800 calories. This is a perfect meal for me. I didn't feel hungry at all till like 2 p.m. I felt amazing. I ate it again. Pound of meat, berries.
Okay.
Didn't feel hungry again until like 9 p.m. I borderline skipped dinner because I was like, whoa, I'm not hungry. Instead, I ate 2 sirloins.
I'm not hungry at all.
And like a bunch of blueberries or something. But
How much are the sirloins? How many calories? 600?
Each or total?
Total.
I think total it's like 700 and like 90 grams of protein. And I was a little stunned. I thought I was going to get on the scale and be like, whoa, dude, 275, which I've been saying that the whole time. I've been waiting for that big drop.
That's going to be the marker.
But I'm on that frozen cherries, but I'm thinking that I got to get back to the blueberries.
I don't know.
I honestly have been pretty good. I've been good on my diet, haven't I? What did I have? One bad day?
I don't know. Well, you had the vanilla milkshake day, which wasn't great.
That was rough.
But I bet you felt like shit when you had that.
I felt good.
It felt good. The next day, no sort of like kind of grog or inflammation hangover. None of that.
No, dude. The worst I felt in the last week is today. I did your fucking workout with the, Romanian split squats, and I actually was holding 45s, and I feel crushed today. But in like a good way. I feel like tomorrow I'm gonna feel amazing.
Yeah. Do you feel swole after?
No, I didn't feel like the workout was like hard enough. I was like, this is like some bullshit. It's not enough volume. And then I woke up today and I was like, wow, I'm sore. I'm sore as hell.
Split squats will get, especially the skater where like have that kickstand. So like it doesn't feel that much in the moment, but if you get a really solid stretch on that hamstring, it fucking hurts the next day.
Yeah. It's sick. My legs are effed up right now.
I would say that we're on the right path. I really dial into 2,500 calories, create that awareness, and because I want to get to 275
at least by the end of this episode.
By the last episode. It means a lot to both of us.
I agree with that.
To have that.
Because that'll be how many pounds?
That'll be 14 pounds.
Yeah. Not that much.
No, but it's not about, because the thing is sustainable growth over time. So we're going to do another season of this pod.
Yeah.
And you're not allowed to while out again. Like I said, I'm never quitting.
Not allowed to while out again.
And I'm not going to allow you to quit. So we're just going to keep on doing this. Yeah.
All right. Well, how's your cut going? You've lost 6 pounds since you bulked, right?
Yeah, but that was mostly like glycogen and inflammation. I think it's starting to come together.
Yeah, your abs are looking great. My two hacks, by the way, even though it's not working. Frozen cherries, number 1. You ate some of those.
I love it.
Banging.
Really good with yogurt.
And hanging hollow body leg raises is my shit. Oh my God. But I only get up to like chest level, but I've only done it 3 times now. It went from only waist level to now it's like chest level, and my core feels awesome, dude. It's the best.
I really struggle getting the hollow form. I think it's because I'm very disconnected between my lower and my upper half. It's a nice medium. But I'm trying to work on mobility to get there. I feel like you might have a stronger hollow thing. I've tried. Whenever I try and do it, I end up swinging, and it fucking sucks.
No, my ass goes back, and it kind of rotates at the hip, and I get the legs up, and I'm telling you, I felt last week. Forget the scale, okay? Forget it.
It's about like how your clothes fit. It's all about all that.
Bitch. It's about mentality, Will. This is going to be a clip, by the way. Where's the camera?
It's about getting down to 275 because then the mentality shifts.
Listen, I felt by eating cherries and doing leg raises, I felt like a superhuman last week. I'm telling you, it's working. We're going to get there together. I believe. This is it. This is it. Okay?
I believe. Nobody believes more than me. I can't stomach another 279 week. I will not allow it.
Okay. All All right. Well, I got golf tomorrow, so no drinking during the golf. But yeah, I'm just telling you, I felt amazing, and I was stunned that the scale didn't move more because I just felt so effing good. Let's get.
Wait. But what about your steps?
What did I do? Too many? 10,000?
Okay. I just wanted to double check.
I got to sleep more. I got to go to bed earlier. That's what. Hold on. This week, homework. Lock it in. Get in bed by 9:30.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what I do.
Let's get some clips.
Clips.
Okay.
Our boy Ryan Fisher.
Ryan Fisher is a big part of my life now, but this one kind of lost me. I don't know if we can.
Dumbbells should never go outside. Every time a dumbbell goes outside and it gets dropped, it puts a lot of pressure on the rubber and it cracks the rubber.
He's been moving into like gym owner content.
Away from the door. All my dumbbells that are over there never
with
go
like
outside.
hanging things up and putting weights away.
Outside.
All right, you can pause it. That's enough.
That gym owner content.
This is like he's sliding slowly into becoming a gym teacher.
Yeah.
Where it's like, who didn't wrap the jump rope? Like random rules about equipment you'll never use.
He's been trying. He's running out of content.
Yeah.
So this is like, he's like, well, I'll just make content about the shit that pisses me off every day.
No. I'd love to have him on the show, by the way. So we're not hating on you, but
it's like when you're like doing comedy and you can't think of a joke, so you'll just be like, I'll fucking make an Instagram about how I want to push this guy in front of the train.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Nobody wants to see that shit.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, let's go to the next clip.
I stay strong, lean, and jacked 24/7, 365, and I don't follow a diet. Ignore any fake-ass influencers selling diets or pushing supplements. Instead, follow these basic nutrition principles.
Just a guy with a
70%
dream.
is your calorie balance. Calories in versus calories out. If the goal is weight loss, eat less, move more.
Yes.
15% is your macronutrients. Prioritize protein.
I like
Minimum
this.
1 gram per pound of your goal lean body weight. Then fill in the rest of your calories with carbs and fats as desired. 10% is your food composition. Eat real whole foods, not processed foods. 3% is nutrient timing. Your body doesn't care what time you eat. It cares way more about the quality and quantity of food you feed it. And 2% is supplements.
Yes.
If you think your body prefers pills and powders over real whole foods, you're a fucking idiot. So follow
Is
these
that-
principles. Be patient.
Is that 2% human growth hormone or
Creatine.
Yeah.
He's a big fan of creatine, and I'm a big fan of creatine.
Should I start using it?
I mean,
Creatine out.
I think that it's nice. It gives me a little bit of, I don't know if it's placebo or what, but like a psychological edge
Yeah.
on heavy lifts. And it does make your muscles look fuller.
Yeah.
So you get those Kenny Gunter arms.
I
bro.
think please. I can only dream to have his arms.
You
but,
will. You already do. You have the same size. You have the same size arms.
Stop it. Nobody has bigger arms than him. But what I want to tell you is that what I also noticed doing your workout is that I think I was not doing heavy enough weights because I'm so strong that I scare myself. So when
you do incline bench with 100 dumbbells, right?
That's when I'm alternating. So when I get up to the 120 on the flat bench, I actually there's this little tick inside me that's like, that's too much weight. Like you're going to get hurt. And it's actually like, but you can do it 10 times. Do it. So
Yeah.
I'm unleashing the limits of my brain. All right, let's go to the next clip.
RPE is a real thing. You have to train hard.
Yeah.
This motherfucker is an animal.
Yeah,
31 pounds in 31 hours.
Wait, he did it?
Yes. So the strategy, and this is great for us to talk about, like when you go ham at a wedding. How I gained 7 pounds when I did that research trip to Ohio. It's because in Ohio, you eat carbs and salt.
Yeah.
And that causes your body to hold on to more water. So you think that you just gained 7 pounds of fat, which would be fucking insane.
Yeah.
Really, you gained 7 pounds that's mostly water.
Yeah. This is I could eat this so easily.
I don't know. He gets to another level. This is only halfway through. The soup with the bread bowl after everything that he just ate would make me fuck.
And my body weight had crossed the 190-pound mark.
I could definitely hang.
I followed that up with a bowl of watermelon and used some chips to get down the rest of the beer. After that, I took down a bunch of mango. I used some chips and dip to get down some more liquid.
I don't know why he ate the
At this point, my
fruit
stomach
there.
capacity
Maybe
was
just to
getting
give him a
very
little
low.
bit of a
After
push
Wendy's
to take a
Frosty,
shit
my weight-
later.
I was only 1.7 pounds away from my goal. So I chugged some juice and ate some more chips and chugged some more juice. I was now only 0.7 pounds away from my goal.
You did this all in one day?
31 hours. 31 pounds in 31
I went straight
hours.
for the mango and the juice. But after weighing in a few minutes later, it still was.
I don't know the strategy of the
31
mango
pounds away
here.
from my goal.
No.
I took down another Frosty and washed it down with some juice. And with 31.6 pounds gained, I completed the
Wait,
challenge.
we should just do this instead of our podcast. All right. So point being, you eat shit, you're gonna blow it up, you're gonna gain weight. Let's go to the next clip because I know we're going overtime with Mr. Mike. Oh, this is hilarious.
To 75% by just changing the order of the foods in it.
Oh,
which
I believe
means
this
fewer
too.
Cravings, less inflammation, less inching towards diabetes, etc. The correct order is vegetables first,
Salad,
proteins and fats second,
entree,
and starches and sugars last.
pasta.
And the
Pasta
main
rice.
reason this
This
is
is
so
how they eat in Italy.
effective
is how Japanese
because
people do
fiber,
it.
when it arrives first in your digestive system, fiber deploys itself onto the wall of your upper intestine, forming a protective, gooey mesh that stays
So I'm gonna
there
get
for a
back
few
on them
hours.
salads, dog.
That mesh
Sure.
then prevents your body from absorbing too much glucose too quickly from any of the food coming down afterwards.
I will actually do that with
My
my
daughter.
I figured out that if I give her,
Will you?
I will actually do that
Then the
with my
salad.
daughter.
All right, cut it. We've heard enough. We don't care about that guy.
My friend, my best friend in college, Japanese, he always talked about how Japanese people eat. It's very, so you have like veggies first, so like steamed veggies, pickled veggies, then you eat fish or whatever your protein is, and then
Rice.
rice, and the rice is like backfilling calories. So it's like you only eat as much rice as you need to fill up.
Got it.
So you eat the essential shit 1st, and then your carb is like your little dessert.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, he's like, so when you're like growing up as a teenager, teens are going to eat a shit ton of rice at the end, but it's only after eat your vegetables, eat your protein, then you can get your carbs. I think it's a great way for all of us to eat.
Yeah.
It's like prioritize the good shit, and then if you're still hungry, put your carbs, but take it slow and don't fucking go nuts.
Yeah, but I think that that's all good shit. But this clip makes me laugh because they're like, the way you've got to eat. And then they just describe like how meals used to go, where it was like salad, entree, pasta, and then dessert.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
But that people think that like there's no like thinking behind that, and it's just like, no, dude, like all of that, there's a reason that we eat
Yeah.
the way that we do.
right, exactly. So I kind of stopped eating salads though because I thought it was a lot of empty calories like out of the dressing, but maybe I'll bring
You
them
don't
back.
have to put the dressing on, or you can be. I know, but that's the dangerous one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a salad tonight. All right, let's go.
Watch
to
it
the-
with the dressing.
Let's go to the next clip.
I don't care what you have a PhD in.
Fuck
You
yeah.
cannot physically overpower me.
Yes.
You cannot tell me what to do.
Yes.
It's that simple. Last year,
Yes.
a doctor claimed my life was in danger. He said I needed my appendix removed immediately. I said,
Shut the
"Sure thing,
fuck up,
doc.
Doc.
Why don't you come and take it from me?" Still riding myself.
So like this is like one of those ones that's like really niche fitness humor, which is like something that's now slid into my Discover page. Which I don't know how I feel about this. Is this actually funny?
This is actually
That was
funny.
fake, obviously, right?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
that
yeah.
was real
That was a
shit.
joke.
Okay, good.
So we don't know.
No, that's how I
Some
feel.
people think it's fake. Some people not fake.
Bro, Wes Watson straight up said in his Instagram stories, he's just like, I don't even, people ask me, when was the last time you were sick? Motherfucker, I don't even believe in that shit. He was like, I don't believe I can get sick. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I was fucking sick.
My friend said that to me the other day. He's like, I don't know. I don't get sick.
Yeah.
I have to go to work. I don't get sick. And
I
was
don't
like,
get fucking sick.
But maybe you think you like. Maybe you don't get sick.
I don't get sick.
Yeah, I
I
get
got
sick all the time.
COVID in April for 12 hours.
Yeah.
I felt bad for 12 hours. I didn't miss work.
I know. But like,
I got COVID for 12
but
hours.
I get sick all the time. So what does that mean? I'm a
But you
bitch?
might be a bitch, dude.
Yeah, I know. I used to be called sick boy. And then
No, you hang out at doctor's offices for your work.
That's true. And I'm weak mentally. All right. What do we got? One more?
Journaling, if you start
Oh yeah, I didn't do any of your journaling, by the way. I read your fitness plan for
But
me.
little by little, you're doing more of the shit that I wanted you to do
Yeah.
originally, and it's always for the betterment of you. You just resist it. So
I
like,
write jokes. Is that good? I got a lot of new material.
just a journal a day about what you want to do that day.
What am I? Nancy Drew? Fuck
yeah.
you.
Yeah. Oh, this guy's amazing.
Yeah, this is tight. Spine does not bend. Knees do not cave. This is how you squat. He's also 4'3".
Yeah, but this is
That's
fucking. So anybody else, the knees start to cave. Fucking A, man.
Yeah, that was sick. Sick. That was tight.
That's just impressive.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
just like that one.
Whenever I see just like good form and he didn't look in any pain and he was just strong as shit, that's where I want to be.
How much rice do you think he eats?
I think he eats a healthy amount of rice. Yeah, for 605 pounds. I was watching this video because I was getting obsessed with my squat form. And for anybody else, a great influencer, Eugene Teo, Teo. He has this whole video where he's just like, yo, stop tripping about that shit. We all have different bodies. If you want to squat, squat. And he gives you 2 cues. He's like, fuck the butt wink. Fuck whatever. It's like, our bodies are built differently. So his cue, his squat cue, is to just think about your head getting pulled up by a string.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then tuck your butt tight. So pinch your cheeks.
Yeah.
And then you go through your nose. And then he's just like, then just sit down.
Yeah.
I did that. Made all the difference. My knee pain went away. My back pain went away. I was overanalyzing everything, and it gave me a really fucked up form.
Is that how you bang Becky? You're like, just think about your head, and she's like, what? We just do normal style.
Just breathe.
Yeah. There's an invisible string pulling your back. And you're like, oh my god.
She said something hurtful last night. She said, if there was some guy telling you to drink your own cum on the internet and it would make you live forever, you would do it.
And you're like, okay, so. Yeah, but I agree with you. It's gotten overcomplicated, but I don't squat. Period.
We're gonna get
I do
you there too.
Bulgarian splitties.
Split squats are good.
We got one more clip.
One more clip.
Oh. All right, so this one caught me too.
One more.
Yeah, this is great.
This is tight.
Wow, that's so different.
After all, everything
This one got me too though, because I was like, why is she moaning like that? Like that's whatever. And it's like it is a porn star.
Wait, which porn star is that?
I think that's Autumn. I don't know. I mean, I don't watch that stuff, but that's what the comments said. Anyway, I think that that's our episode for this week. I'll promise to be smaller next week, or at least more ripped.
Yeah.
All right.
No, you're doing great, buddy. We're all very proud of you.
Thanks, man.
It's all gonna be great.
All right. Well,
But we're gonna get to 275 in 2
like
weeks.
and subscribe, and you know what? Send us your. Shouldn't we have a call to action, producer Mike? Send us in your pictures.
Send us pictures of your.
Yeah, send us before and afters.
Send
and
us
let us
your
know what you're doing.
transformations.
Yeah, and show us your dicks.
Show us your fucking dick.
Yeah.
Before and after.
Before and after. Yeah, before and after.
Your dick does get bigger when you lose weight.
Of course it does, because it just gets revealed. We'll probably cut that last part. But anyway, good episode. Whee! See you later.